Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video we're discussing The Goodbye Cat, written by Hiro Arikawa. It's a collection of 7 short stories that celebrate cats. They don't just celebrate the life of cats, also shows us their dignity in death. Also shows us how cats impact the lives of humans. All 7 stories are well written. I loved all of them. I love them for different reasons. And of course, some are stronger than others, but all 7 I enjoyed very much. I just think this author has a great grasp of what it is to be a cat and how cats impact all our lives. I think the author just loves cats. I mean, the author could not love cats and write these stories, because in many of the stories, the cats have their own voice, and those voices of the cats feel so real. When you read them, if you're a cat owner and cat lover, you'll just think cat, because those voices are just brilliant in my view. I enjoyed these 7 stories a lot. The general feel of all 7 stories is just to give us cats. How cats are wonderful, basically. Everything about these cats is filled with dignity. From life to death, everything in between. Everything the cats do is just dignified. And it's also about how the cats impact our lives and change our lives as well. I really enjoyed all these stories, even the sad moments. And yes, some of these stories are quite sad. There's sad moments in them. But in those sad moments, there's also a bit of joy. And it's also a bit of comfort, because the voices of the cats in their sad moments is very comforting, very positive and uplifting. It just shows you how strong and dignified these cats are, these cat characters are, when it comes to the end of their lives. So if you don't like stories about animals that die, don't read these short stories, because in some of them animals do die. But I think it's worthwhile reading anyway, because these cat characters are written so well. And I think if you love cats, if you're a cat owner, I think you'll just enjoy these stories very much. I have some favorites in this collection. One of them is The Goodbye Cat. It's a short story that's the title of the book as well. This is about a cat who's getting towards the end of his life, but he's determined to become a spirit animal and live forever. He doesn't want to pass on to wherever cats pass on to after they die. And he's sure he knows how to become a spirit animal. First, he has to reach the age of 20, and he does. He's past 20. And he just has to get a contract and sign his name, his paw print on a contract. And he keeps waiting for that contract to come in the post. Someone give him the contract so he can put his paw print on it. And he's been practicing. Everywhere he finds he can get an ink pad that someone's using, he just practices putting his paw print somewhere. In soy sauce in a plate, he gets his paw print and puts it on a tablecloth. He's practicing. He's sure he can become a spirit animal. But it's his voice in this story that's outstanding. And we get his voice many times in this short story. I really liked it. He just seems so full of joy in life. He's got parts in the story where he's comical and funny, parts where he's serious, parts where he kind of just looks at the humans and thinks, are you serious? What's going on? He's got a really rich voice in this story. Everything about him feels real. When I read this cat in this story, I just thought cat, because it just feels like a cat. If you own a cat, you'll know what I mean. They can be aloof, they can be cuddly, they can want attention, they can walk away when you try to give them attention. That happens in this story. And when cats look at you, you just think that when you read this cat in the story, the way he looks at the humans, you can imagine the look, because you can imagine your cat giving you the same look. So I think this story in this book was so well written. Finding Hachi is another great story in this collection. It shows just that connection between pets and their owners, between humans and animals. It shows how that can span over time, many years. It also shows that time moves differently for animals. For humans, time can be long. Humans can live these long lives, but for cats, it's shorter lives. But time moves differently for them. They may forget about things and they move on about certain things quicker than humans do. But it doesn't mean they forget. And in this story, this cat remembers his owner from years before. When he meets his owner again, he remembers him. It's that kind of thing in this story that really shines through. It really just shows us the connection between pets and humans, between animals and humans, and just how that relationship between an animal and a human is positive for both. I really enjoyed this short story. I thought it was brilliant. Life is Not Always Kind is another short story where the connection between an animal and a human is explored in great detail. It's a very, very moving short story. I enjoyed it a lot. So basically, this guy who owns a cat, and he's trying to find someone to look after the cat for him. He has to go away. You find out why later on, towards the end of the short story. I won't give that away. But he has to move away, and he just wants someone to look after his cat for him. He's worried what's going to happen to his cat when he goes away. So he goes on a road trip of sorts with his cat, and they drive around in his car, in his vehicle. They're trying to find someone to look after him. They come across a few people he knows in his life, but it just seems nobody can take this cat on board. We get to the end of the story, and these two characters are still together. Now, I won't tell you the very end of this short story, but it is quite moving. And I think this just explores so deeply that connection between humans and animals and what it really means for both parties. How humans impact animals' lives and make them richer, and also the other way around. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed all 7 stories in this collection. I think it's just magical. I am trying to read more short stories and novellas. I'm not a big short story and novella fan in the past. I'm trying to read more of them because I know there's collections out there that are very good. I'm trying to give more of them a go, but I'm so glad I read this collection because it's just brilliant in my view. I think this collection of short stories is just wonderful. I rate it a 5 out of 5. I think this author explores the connection between animals and humans so deeply and so honestly. You don't have to be a cat lover, I don't think, to really enjoy these stories. I think if you like pets of any sort, animals of any sort, I think you'd enjoy these stories because I think it rings true for any connection between a human and an animal. On my channel, I review books of all different genres. Check out my channel and subscribe. On the screen now is a link to another video for a book I'm sure you'll enjoy.